The oven's preheated. I'm Mario. That's my Croatian co-host, Franco, a.k.a. Papa Fazul. Papa, where we at tonight and who we with?
Oh, man. We're with Dr. Nicholas Giliberti. You may know him as the Fight Doctor. We're hanging out. He invited us to the Movement Underground, where he's the chief doctor of physical therapy. We're in Seaford, New York. We're going to talk about anything and everything you could do over here in the Movement Underground. We're going to talk a little bit of UFC. And I can't wait to jump into this, man. Get Dr. Nick out here.
Keep it cooking in the oven. The oven. Yep. The oven. The oven. The oven. Yep. The oven. The oven. Smells good. The oven. Yep. The oven.
Thanks for joining us, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for
actually.
having us, bro. You kidding me? This place is
beautiful.
Unbelievable.
Our humble
man.
abode.
Humble is humble is an understatement. This is like state of the art, man.
Built by Mr. Mike Stella. I am just grateful to be a part of this franchise, so to speak.
Dude, it's right in Seaford, man, right around the corner. This is good to know. I can get a good stretch going in here. I'm telling you, when we walked in here, I felt like I had to like bend down and touch my toes. It felt so good in here.
It makes you want to move.
That's it.
I got to ask you right off the bat, how do you get the name The Fight Doctor?
That's a good question. I get that a lot. So the Fight Doctor began, I have to give full credit, and I say this all the time. It came from Nikki Rizzles from the Rizology podcast.
Okay.
So it actually originated from when I was a student. So I was a student of PT. I actually graduated fairly recent. It's been a pretty quick transition into just this world of PT, rehab, and combat sports. So I was as a student, I was working at a clinic, at a facility. And what happened was a bunch of the guys from Sarah's and Longo's, they found out that I was doing PT work, relatively local. Mm-hmm. So everybody started coming by because, you want to work with the person who understands the nature of your injuries and, trains with you. So we keep it La Familia always.
That's a good crew to have La Familia.
Yeah, I agree. Very grateful for that. And what happened from that point was, it just started to gain traction. And I went on the Rizology podcast when I had graduated because he wanted me on earlier. I was like, wait till I get the doctor title. Yep. Then we could do the actual introductions. And then he said to me midway through the podcast, he's like, I find it really cool that you've become somewhat of the fighting doctor. He's like, I think we got to start calling you the Fight Doctor. So immediately in that moment, you see my eyes light up in the frame. I'm like, ooh,
that's it.
Oh, I like that.
What'd you say?
Because the best nicknames are always the ones that you don't give yourself.
You can't give yourself a nickname.
We have a guy at Sarah's they're trying to he's trying I'm not gonna say names, but you'll know who this is if you're watching this. They're trying to call him the necrophiliac.
Okay.
And he's trying to not have that be the case.
He might be stuck with that.
I'm like, dude, you didn't come up with it, so it's it might stick now.
Honestly, man, sometimes you just have to own that nickname.
Yeah.
It's like Blue Mountain State. When they called him Couch, sometimes you just gotta own that nickname.
I said you got to lean into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah,
and make it really weird to the point where people don't even want to call you that anymore.
Who would you say to you, who's the most notable fighter that you've had the experience to work with?
Notable meaning what? Because that takes on many definitions.
Well, I guess to you.
To me, it's always going to be Matt Frevola because Matt's my first professional athlete I've ever worked with. So and it's crazy because the story with him is it's when I was working at the clinic as a student, again, we were teammates, we knew each other, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't need to trust me and he didn't need to work with me as a student. Yep. But he's like, you know what? Let's do it. Let it rip, dude. What are we going to do? So to have that trust, I'm always going to have a special place in my heart for Matt, being that A, he's my teammate, B, he's just an all around great dude. C, we've come to the point of brotherhood and friendship, way beyond just that professional relationship.
That's awesome.
So, and to have that trust early in my career and to refer people when I was at that level of being, again, just a student. Yep. Matt Frevola, he takes the cake. Just all around great dude.
Team Steam, baby. Yep. Till the death.
Till the day I die.
That's our guy over here.
It's so important to have people believe in you before you make it. It's easy for everyone to believe in you when you're already there.
Yeah.
But for someone to, hop on when you're just getting started, what an incredible feeling.
Not for nothing, man. Steam did the same thing for us. He was our, second episode ever 3 years ago. And he was just like, yeah, man, let's do this. came to Jackson's 2 years back and just had a nice meal. We're like, dude, he was the first one that, you know, really jump started this for us too. It was it made it like, man, we got to keep this going.
Matt's just a good. He's just a good dude. Like
The whole
he's just
family.
a great. Yeah,
Literally.
100%.
Except for Tommy. Tommy sucks.
Like I had the like, you know, the privilege of being trusted with like it's crazy to say. It's like, you know, they have the little baby now, they have Cash, just to be like, I was treating his wife during her pregnancy. Like that to me is like, that's the type of trust that you like to have me be trusted with that weight of responsibility. It goes beyond combat sports at that point. You know what I mean? And that's something I'm really grateful for. Like Matt's he's been such a help in my career, just to help me jumpstart it, and you know, getting emotional.
No, I love it, dude. It hits home, man. It's good stuff.
When you're looking at these fighters, do you ever have like your doctor brain on and the fight's going on, or you're looking at them at weigh-ins, or you're watching the way they walk? Are you picking up like their imbalances, like their muscular imbalances, or anything like that? Are you seeing weaknesses before they even get in the octagon?
Like sometimes, I mean, there's always like some people that you see, whether it's people I've worked with or people I haven't worked with, where it's like, yeah, that's a staph infection. Like that guy's definitely on antibiotics. Like there's been a few times that, like, you know, you look at, for instance, Benoit Saint-Denis versus Renato Moicano, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody had Benoit. He was the heavy favorite. Just coming off, you know, after fighting Matt at Madison Square Garden, just bulldozing through people, four first round finishes, combined ring time of like maybe 3 minutes in his last 4 fights, and then, you know, he walks into that fight, and you're looking at it, it's like, yeah, that's a staph infection. He's definitely on. If he's on antibiotics, he's going to be compromised, and sure enough, like you get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, Moicano's a beast, but it was definitely prevalent that that was a staph infection.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what percentage of fighters are fighting hurt?
That's a great question, and that's something I tell my guys all the time, whether it's my sponsored guys or just people that I work with. You're never going into a fight 100%. There's not a single person who's walking come fight day that's coming in 100%. But if you allow us to do our job as, you know, the PTs, the athletic trainers, just everybody that is working with you, your team, right? If you allow us to do our job, the closest person to that 100% is always going to have a very stark advantage, always, no matter what. You may not be at 100%, and if you are, then that's great. Very, very rare. But if we get you to, like, let's say 96%, and the other guy's coming in at 85%, that's house money at that point.
Exactly. That's a huge difference, man.
Big difference.
Huge difference. Like, and again, I want your opinion on this. We've talked about this before, but in your opinion, why are injuries at such an all-time high across the board in sports? It's not just in the UFC. It's not just in the MLB. But back in the day, they didn't have the technology we have. They didn't have this beautiful facility like we're sitting in right now. What's the main, you know, what's happening in sports? Like, is it because these guys are all just, you know, beasts now? Everything's like real tight, or?
Well, people get blown away by the oohs and ahs and all the bells and whistles. Like, the facility is great, but this facility would still be this facility if it was half the size and we were in a cubby, because it's the minds that you have behind the treatment. Doesn't matter the facility space. This facility space is just a testament to Mike's hard work and, you know, who he is as a trainer, as an athletic trainer, and as a healthcare professional. But what it really boils down to, in my opinion, is that people they're not training within the specificity of their sport. And what I mean by that is you have a lot of people that are training in this dated bodybuilder, power lifter, power builder fashion where it's very linear. So the body operates in 3 planes of motion. You have the frontal plane, the sagittal plane, the transverse plane. Frontal movement is like side to side, lateral, sagittal is forward back, and then transverse is rotational based. The problem is that people are training exclusively within that sagittal plane of whether it's of one-dimensional linear lifts. So like you got your squats, your bench, your deadlift, your military press, your Fab 5, your Sinister 6, whatever you want to call those base core movements, and that's great. That's an amazing floor to build your foundation. But the problem is that you're not loading muscles at end range. You're not working within that transverse plane or that frontal plane. So when you create a very stiff and rigid structure, that's inevitably going to lead to injury. So for us, especially here, what we try to pride ourselves on is being able to take the person outside of, you know, what their current limitations are and what their past injuries or past experiences may predict, and try to build off of the demands of the sport and create that specificity behind what exactly it is that they're doing. So a lot of our guys, like we really keep them bulletproof, whether they do have an injury in camp or not. Mm-hmm. Like the point is, like, the injury would probably not be as bad as if they weren't training like the way that we have it being done. You know what I mean? Versus if we have someone that comes in off the street, being able to now, all right, you're here, now let's get you to that next step. So to answer it in summary, I'm answering it in a roundabout way. It's creating that specificity within sport that allows it to translate a lot better to the sport.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
No, 100%. I love the way that you kind of broke that down. And like,
thank you.
That was like a picture book. That's like going through, like, damn.
It's almost as if he does this for work or something.
You think I got a career in this?
What are you, a doctor or something?
Yeah.
I want to piggyback off that. I'm sure you get this all the time, not just from athletes, but patients in general. What do you have to say to those cliche people, or people I've heard a million times say, I don't need to go to physical therapy, I could do my exercises at home?
I think that's, again, I understand it. And I empathize with that, because that's coming from someone, usually 99% of the time. Granted, I'm going to give the disclaimer of the 1% ego of people that are assholes in this world and think they know the world. But I empathize with that, because that oftentimes comes from people who have had a very bad PT experience, that have had a very bad experience in the traditional big box physical therapy, where, they are being treated by a therapist who is seeing 4 or 5 other patients within that same hour. You're not getting that one-on-one. Yep. So when that's the case, and you say, okay, well, if you're going to see me for 5 minutes, I'm going to speak to you for 5 minutes, and then I'm just going to do my own thing anyway, I could just do the same thing from the comfort of my own home, save myself a $25 copay, save myself the 20-minute drive to PT, and just look up stuff on YouTube. That's what a lot of people do. So I empathize with that, but fundamentally it's a wrong scope of thinking, but I can't blame people for thinking that when that is the scope that they have been aligned with in their experiences, in the sum of their experiences. So my answer to that is we do it differently. It's completely different. In your experience, yeah, maybe you'd be better off just doing your exercises at home, but within the hour that we're spending together, you get 100% of my time. And that is the premium level of service that you get from people that actually care about what they're doing and aren't just collecting a check.
Yeah,
It's not just a mill.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that before. We came in. We were here a little early. We walk in, and it was just one-on-one. Everybody were like, "This is physical therapy. This is what it's all about." It's really good stuff.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I want to know, what's the most insane injury someone's just tried to walk off, in your experience?
Okay, that's another really good question. We had a fighter that was fighting for the Contender Series. So at the old clinic that I was at, one of my teammates, Karolampos Gregorio, it's long since passed. We're good. I think he signed a waiver, right? So what happened was, he was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was like 2 or 3 weeks out from his Contender Series shot. And, the clinic gets a call, and we find out he broke his foot. So now, the clinical director is like, all right, well, we rescheduling it, or what are we doing? He's like, no, brother, I'm going to knock him out with my hands. So, and I'm like, so we're hearing this, and we're like, you're a fucking idiot, bro. You're walking in there with a broken foot. So obviously, and this is why I love fighters, bro. This is why I love combat sports, because if it was, again, I love LeBron too, but if it was LeBron, if it was Jordan, if it was anybody else, if it was Kawhi, they'd be sitting out the rest of the season.
If it was Hamza.
You know what I'm saying? If you have a broken foot, everything in your head should be telling you should not be stepping into a cage where they're going to lock it behind you, and another grown man is going to try to hurt you. But this is why I love combat sports. This is what gives me the rush to wake up in the morning, because you have people like that say, I don't give a shit. Against all odds, I am going to overcome. So he says, listen, doesn't matter, brother. I'm going to knock him out with my hands. So whatever you could do to get me there, to make the pain, didn't take any opiates, didn't take any painkillers, didn't take any sort of illegal substances to expedite the healing process. It was just pure grit, hard work, and coming into PT X amount of times a week, working on him, trying to do the red light therapy, all that jazz. We didn't heal him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting medals on myself, and this isn't a God complex. We didn't heal him, but we did try to microwave biology a little bit to try to expedite that process of like the tissue work, loading it, and doing all of the stuff that we can do to help expedite the process and help with the pain in a healthy way. He goes to the Contender Series fight. He shows up, does the weight cut. And you could look it up. You could look it up on YouTube. Karolampos Gregorio versus, I forget the guy's first name, but his last name was Smotherman. I think his name was like the Babyface Killer or something like that. And the guy was like 5 to 10 years younger than him. He was a young guy. And he fucking knocked him out with his hands. He did it within 2 minutes. He knocked him out and he got his contract. So that was like, that to me was like, and I remember watching it with, you know, with the team and the staff that we were together. And it was like, we were all screaming, huddled up. We placed like overseas bets, like illegal bets of like, you know, that he was going to win.
Oh, of course.
You know, that's how much that we bought into it. And he fucking did it. He knocked him out with his hands, bro.
That's so
that to me, like, was the craziest thing that I've ever seen, where you should not be stepping into an octagon, but that's why I love this shit.
Just the answer. I'm knocking him out with my hands.
That's what he said. He's like, I don't need my feet, brother. I'm gonna knock him out with my hands.
Is
that racially insensitive?
No, it's awesome.
You're letting us into the story.
He's Greek, bro. Like it's like
This is your buddy.
Pampos, I love you, dude. I'm not making fun of you, man.
That's great, man.
You got him as close to that 100% as you possibly could.
Exactly.
You just said before.
Exactly. That's the whole idea.
But getting to train with guys like this, you know, hands-on is so much different than reading from a textbook. You know, so like how much has that helped you here at the Movement Underground?
Being able to
just
train
in life. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I get my ass kicked in sparring all the time. Like
you know what it's like.
I know what it's like. I know what it's like to take a couple dingers. You know what I'm saying? Like and I'm not doing it. This is like, I got a career. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be a professional fighter. Like, this is just the sport that I love and that has accepted me wholeheartedly within their community. So I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not or flex and be like I'm some big bad motherfucker. But I train with some really dangerous motherfuckers. And I don't mind being at the lowest level of that totem pole, because when you surround yourself with excellence, you have no choice but to at the very least elevate yourself. So I'm very grateful for that. How that translates to PT, like, yeah, I know what it's like. Like last year, for example, I was pretty new to the jiu-jitsu journey. Shout out to my Sarah Longo family and team. I train at Matt Serra's in Huntington, and again, they've accepted me wholeheartedly. Just off of a fluke injury, I had a partial peripheral tear in my meniscus and LCL just off of rolling, you know, and that shit happens. Like I had to rehab myself, and I'm not crying boo-hoo about it. It's nobody's fault. It's the nature of the sport. Shit happens, but it's part of the game. And when you understand the nature of the sport and you understand the culture of the sport, you do things differently and you operate under a different mental framework, because what that does is a lot of times if any of my patients or like my teammates are watching this, they'll understand what I mean. I don't shut people down, and that helps me with more of my day-to-day people that aren't combat sport athletes, or you know, where if it's a woman who's pregnant, or if it's a person who came back from a knee reconstruction that's 50 or 60 years old, just wants to ski again. Like, it's very rarely that I or anybody in these four walls shuts anybody down, because at least from my experience, the nature of combat sports in general is that, like I said about Pampos, we're going to do it anyway. Yeah. So if either we practice and challenge these movements or these activities in a controlled environment, when you expose yourself to an uncontrolled environment, then what's going to happen is you're just going to get injured all over again. And the problem with modern PT, in my opinion, is that they're so quick to just say, okay, for example, you sprained your LCL, you should not be going to the gym. You cannot squat. You should not be deadlifting. You should not be doing any sort of play, recreation, XYZ. And for me, I regress a little bit. I regress it a little bit. I don't tell anybody everything's shut down. I don't tell anybody that this is where I try to give as much autonomy to the person, to the patient, to the client as possible, because that's really what it's all about. That's what it should be about. Your physical therapy should look like a regressed version of a strength and conditioning program.
Absolutely.
That's how I view it. And that's how Mike views it, and that's how all of the other strength and conditioning coaches and therapists that we have on staff here, that's how we view it. It should be a regressed or a modified version of strength and conditioning, not just some cookie cutter program that someone from ChatGPT just cooked up and,
That's what it is nowadays, man.
Yeah.
I got one for you. Ice or heat?
My philosophy is usually either ice then heat, or just heat alone but never ice alone. And the reason for that is the same reason why I tell people that as soon as they sprain their ankle or something, my advice, and this is my disclaimer so that nobody sues me, talk to your doctor before doing any of this stuff. This is not medical advice. This is just my opinion.
Not today.
Not today, exactly. My advice, based on my research and the literature that is in the scientific community, is that ice has been found to delay the healing process, whereas heat and blood flow is what expedites the healing process. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at that, you want to stack the deck in your favor to bring on as much inflammation as possible. The body has been evolving for millions of years, right? So it knows how to heal itself, but we have different ways of being able to expedite that and help stack the deck in that favor. Anytime you take an anti-inflammatory, and ice is in fact a more topical anti-inflammatory, I guess you could say external anti-inflammatory, you're delaying the healing process, which you want the inflammation, which is going to bring on that cascade of peptides and proteins and collagen production to help facilitate the healing and the blood flow and all that jazz. Anytime that you are regressing that and you're taking it away, you're slowing down that body's ability to just bring on that inflammation again. That's when you get that cycle of chronic injuries, because people just ice. And yes, it'll take the pain away. Yeah, it's going to bring the swelling down, but no, you're not healing it.
Wow.
My dad's been lying to me my whole baseball career.
Yep.
That's why you didn't get drafted.
We figured it out.
So you're after a
the
workout,
case.
you're better off going in the sauna than a cold plunge.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And what do you think about those new studies that are coming out that are saying that cold plunging drastically lowers the percentage of muscle growth?
So that's true. However, it comes with a little bit of a caveat, because a lot of those studies that, at least that I've seen that are being published, it doesn't mention anything in terms of strength gains, and it doesn't mention anything in terms of like I from what I've seen, actual percentages of how much is being diminished. And if there are some studies out there, please send me the resources. The ones that I look at, I try not to look at individual studies, because individual studies can be biased. Part of like the curriculum that we learn in like PT school and just like undergrad and grad school is that they say the highest form of evidence is systematic reviews and meta-analyses. So an individual study, there can be biases or confounding factors and confounding variables that can influence the how it's represented across a population. So, for example, I would want to know, what is the sample size? I would want to know, what is the age of that sample size? I would want to know how long was this study? I would want to know what type of study was it, because there are different studies that have certain biases. Was it a randomized control trial? Was it a case control trial? What type of study was actually conducted? So when you're doing that,
Who funded the study?
Exactly. That's the number one glaring thing. Who funded the study? So when you're looking at systematic reviews and meta-analyses, what that does is it takes thousands of studies or hundreds of studies, but it takes hundreds or thousands or however many, we'll just say hundreds of studies, breaks them down into, does it fit the criteria? Are there any confounding variables? Are there, whatever? What are these results of all of these studies? What is the sample size of all these studies? And it represents, and then it spits out the results with respect to a mathematical analyses of what the results are. So studies don't help us be right. Mike actually says this all the time, so I have to quote him on this. Studies don't make us right. Studies allow us to be less wrong. So and what can be representative of the majority of the population may not be representative of the person that's in front of you. So I always say treat the patient, not the diagnosis, because the diagnosis can be one thing, but there are certain studies that say, cupping doesn't work, right? Or massage therapy, hands-on therapy, like Graston, like muscle scraping doesn't work. And that may very well be true. That's perfectly fine for the majority of people. But what I've found and what I've learned is that, and what I would want to share with other people one day when it comes to reading these individual studies, is that evidence-based practice is not solely what the research tells you. Evidence-based practice it's a triage. It's what the research tells you. It's what the patient responds to, and it's also what you as a practicing clinician have experienced in your career and what you've seen works and what you've applied in your own environment. So that's where that evidence-based practice comes into play, because a lot of people put so much weight on the individual studies without recognizing the full scope.
So with all that said, how frustrating is it for you when you're trying to treat the patient and you're not seeing eye to eye with their DO or their MD?
That happens all the time. That happens quite often. So sometimes there is that intervention where I'll get on the phone and I'll intervene. I'll be like, hey, let's collaborate, because you don't want to burn ties with people, but at the same time, excuse me. Sorry, I had to burp.
We'll cut this. Don't worry about it.
No, we're leaving that in.
Leave it in. Fuck it. So, again, another thing I got to quote Mike that he says, how many people has your surgeon rehabbed? 0. And how many people have I performed surgery on? 0. Sometimes you got to remain within the scope of that practice. And even still with like certain medical doctors, I'm not knocking medical doctors, I'm not knocking surgeons. There's a 360 approach that I like to employ personally, just because I have an extensive background in different areas. Like, for example, I graduated with my undergraduate degree in nutrition and food sciences. In our PT school career, like, we did cadaver dissections and cutting open dead bodies and seeing what exactly is going on in there. Like, my experience as a strength and conditioning coach and personal training. Like, and this isn't me just flexing and touting my degrees, because that means jack shit, because there's plenty of people who have degrees and certifications. They're stupid as fuck. But my experience goes within this 360 approach of recovery, strength training, nutrition, sleep, all engrossing, all encompassing. So where I feel like a lot of where the times that I disagree with a lot of doctors and surgeons or MDs or whatever, or different healthcare clinicians, is that they don't look at the whole scope. They don't look at the whole picture. And a lot of them, whether it's due to insurance, whether it's due to time management, whether it's due to whatever variable that it may be, and I think a lot of patients will agree with me on this, maybe not, and I think clinicians as well, they look at the diagnosis and they treat based off of the diagnosis, and it's one-dimensional. So, like, for example, right, if you have somebody that walks in, and this is my favorite example because especially as guys, everybody's worrying about their testosterone levels. Oh, my testosterone level's low, got to go on TRT. And I've had people that come in and be like, hey, my testosterone levels are low. Do you know anybody that's with good TRT that does that? And I'm like, and I ask this myriad of questions, which most other doctors will not. How much sleep are you getting? How much time are you spending in the sun getting natural vitamin D? Are you eating nutrient-dense foods that have one ingredient? Like, if you have an apple, the ingredient it's an apple, right? Or are you having like protein chips that have like 14 ingredients that you can't even pronounce, and a bunch of other stuff that have preservatives and that have like chemical dyes and stuff that messes with your hormones? Like, what are you eating? How much time are you weight training? How much time are you spending in the sun? How much time are you sleeping? How much water are you drinking throughout the day? How much stress do you have? Are you someone that has a stress-free occupation? Are you a cop? Are you an accountant? Are you somebody that's working under a high amount of stress and pressure? Like, these are all things that play factors into the ebb and flow of life and our hormonal levels and testosterone. And that's just a one example, but that goes into everything. Most other doctors will do your blood work and they'll say, all right, low testosterone levels, here's a prescription. or go see this guy.
That's what it is.
I don't do that. I'm going to go the extra mile, and I'm going to continue to do that because it's the right means of healthcare. And I think that a lot of other providers should do it. That's what we do here. That's our thing. You know, it's all encompassing.
As it should be, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's a breath of fresh air hearing something like that too, you know?
Same thing with high blood pressure. That's another big one. You know what I mean? Oh, you have high blood pressure? Here's a pill. Not how much, like, what are you eating throughout the day? Like, what does your diet look like? Give me a 24, like that was something in like our nutrition program that we had to go over. Like, give me a 24-hour recall. Do a food diary. You know, nobody does that. And that's like, it's simple stuff, but it's game-changing advice where you can finally find the linchpins of what exactly is getting to the root of the diagnosis that's in front of you. The diagnosis tells half a story. Your high blood pressure may be different from her high blood pressure, and his high blood pressure may be different from his. You know, so it's all encompassing.
Unfortunately, it just seems like these are all issues related to our healthcare system in America. And, you know, unfortunately, insurance companies don't pay well for preventative medicine. You know, they pay for the fix, like surgery or a pill. And, you know, guys like you are left going in reverse.
I spend a lot of time educating. I think education is so important because it's what allows us to kind of bridge that gap and build that mutual understanding between patient provider. And there's a lot of people with white coat syndrome that they walk into a doctor's office, and that's like not what we do here either. And like Mike has told us in our like meetings and stuff like that. And when I came here, like he even said like, I didn't want this to look like the traditional doctor's office. I didn't want it to look like a typical like rehab facility because it's not. Because it's not. You know what I mean? Like the whole sterile, like, you know, the carpeting on the floor and like, you know, the white lights and like, you know, it's open, it's welcoming, and it's just different.
Yeah, you want to get to work in here, man.
Yeah.
like that's what it is. I want to take a step away. I want to go to the NBA side of things. You brought up LeBron before. And you were a basketball player, correct?
Yeah.
So NBA playoffs are underway. Who you think's going to be playing for the title?
I think the Celtics get fraud checked.
I would love to see that.
Okay. And maybe that's just the Boston hater in me.
Big Knicks fan?
I'm more of a Nets fan because growing up, like, you know, Jason Kidd, a bald white guy, you know, just do it. You want to laugh. You want to laugh way harder than you're allowing yourself to. He just like bit his tongue a little bit. He's like, we're in his home.
I didn't even know he was fully white.
No, he's half white.
Yeah.
But, you know, as a kid, you don't know that. Bald white dude living out the dream, right? What I want to see versus what we will see.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Knicks-Lakers finals because I think the city will just burn to the ground.
Both
will just burn to the ground. You know, then you're going to see, because there's a lot of LeBron fans in New York, like myself included, and I would just be happy with either one. The Knicks winning a title, fuck yeah, dude. Like, and LeBron winning another title, fuck yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
What I think we will see, I think it's always the teams that have the most pedigree that will carve out something for themselves. And I do think that the teams like currently in the playoff race that have the most pedigree are going to be, unfortunately, the Celtics and the Lakers.
Yep.
Or Golden State, because it doesn't matter the talent. It doesn't matter the skill. Usually, like 90% of the time, it's the teams that have the most pedigree, who's been there before, who could stay healthy, all that jazz. So we may very well see, especially if the NBA is rigged, see like Lakers Celtics. Very possible.
See Curry, LeBron again. I mean,
you know,
Lakers Celtics. You said Lakers Celtics.
Yeah.
See that again. I mean, the Lakers making it would be insane.
Yeah,
you know,
they're an undersized team.
Yeah, very undersized.
It doesn't seem as rigged as the NFL. We'll say that though.
Yeah, I mean they're pushing that Taylor Swift agenda.
I love it.
Don't get me started.
Active NBA players. I want your starting five.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Damn. Like of all time currently, like for example, are we talking like 2016, 2017 LeBron, or just like right now, who's playing?
I'm talking right now, active players.
Oh man, that's a tough one. Okay, I'm gonna put, and yes, there is some bias to this. I'm gonna put Big Cat because I'm a Kentucky guy. I'm a Kentucky guy through and through. Sorry.
You go.
I'm gonna go Big Cat at the 5. At the 1, I'm gonna put LaMelo Ball. I love LaMelo Ball.
Love LaMelo.
He's so smooth. He's like Penny Hardaway, dude. He reminds me so much of Penny Hardaway. It's crazy.
He's unbelievable.
And he dishes it, man. He dishes that shit. At the 2, I'm going to go Shy.
Okay.
At the 3, I'm going to go LeBron. And at the 4,
It's a big
I'm
one.
going to go AD.
Okay.
I'm going to go AD. A healthy AD.
Healthy AD. Yep.
That's hard, though. If it's not a healthy AD, then, I mean, again, my bias, maybe it's just the unk in me, but I'm going to go Kevin Durant.
You can't go wrong with either
You
one.
can't.
Literally.
But that's going to be my 5.
That was like gibberish to me. I was about to say Dirk Nowitzki.
Mario's over here watching, what is it, Serie A?
The soccer. I'm a soccer guy.
Oh
over
my
here.
God,
Yeah,
dude!
yeah, yeah.
He says Serie A like I know what Serie. I thought Serie A was a team. Serie A was a league of soccer.
I thought that was a soda. Serie A missed, right?
Serie A missed. I got one more kind of like that for you.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump into the UFC side of things. I want you to build your perfect UFC fighter. I'm gonna give you a couple things, and I want you to throw out a name for them. All right?
Okay.
Striking.
Striking.
So who's got the hands, the kicks, the kill switch combos?
So are we talking boxing striking or are we talking kickboxing striking? Because those should be 2 different questions.
Oh, you put me on the spot here
Boxing
now.
versus kickboxing are going to be 2 different things.
We'll do boxing for now.
Okay, boxing, I'm going to go Ilya.
Okay. What about ground game or BJJ?
Those should be 2 different things, dude.
I know. I'm
Wrestling and BJJ.
I don't want to give you.
He's showing how much of a casual he is right
No,
now.
ground game.
Can we
No,
turn the cameras off? I'll help him construct a better question.
The people
This
call him
is-
out all the time in the comments. That's casual Frank.
Wrestling is next.
Okay, striking. Okay, boxing, striking. I'll do both. Okay, boxing.
let's go both.
Okay, boxing, striking. I'm going to go Ilya Topuria. Kickboxing. I'm going to go with Alex Pereira.
Okay.
Jiu-jitsu. I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira.
Love that.
Wrestling. I'm going to go with. It's hard, man, between Islam and Marab, but Marab just doesn't get tired, dude. I'm going to go Marab.
Okay.
I'm going to go Marab on the wrestling.
What about chin?
Chin. That's a tough one. Who takes the most punishment
And just doesn't.
and just doesn't get knocked out? That's really a tough one.
We'll come back.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Cardio.
Marab.
I knew you were going with Rob there. Fight IQ.
Fight IQ. John Jones.
Okay. What about trash talk?
Is Connor in the talk? I mean,
We could put Connor, but let's leave Connor out of it because you know he ain't coming back. He just called out Chandler again today, by the way.
I saw
right?
that. I saw
Like,
that.
Come
That
on.
was bad.
But yeah, we'll leave Connor out of this one. Who's next?
Honestly, like I kind of like Patty Pimblett's trash dog, dude.
I'm with it.
Cause he's just so chill about it. Like he's just like, you're gonna get knocked out, lad. You're trash. Like I don't know, Patty. I mean, like some people might say Drykus, but let's go, Patty.
I love it.
On the trash talk.
Any thoughts on chin?
I don't know. You have any suggestions?
Man, honestly, I was thinking. I had Gene Silva from last time. He has an absolute monster of a chin, but he doesn't get hit that much anymore.
That's really tough to say. Who just
Can
takes?
you still say Holloway?
Yeah, why can't? Yeah, why not?
You can.
Max, Gaethje.
I don't know if I could go Gaethje after
After he
that
got
one.
popped like that.
Who just takes abuse? I mean, I don't know. That's a really tough question. I'm going to Google some people. Best chin in the UFC currently. Maybe I'm showing how casual I am. Best
I
chin
had ground game and
UFC.
takedown separate.
This is cheating. I know it's cheating, but man. Who would I go with? I think you got to go like heavyweight fighters that just take a fucking wallop, right?
I feel like the heavyweight game.
Actually, you know what? I know who I'm gonna pick. I just Google help me, and hopefully we can edit this out if you're gonna clip it. I'm gonna go with Chito Vera. Chito Vera got abused against Sean O'Malley, and that flying knee to the chin that was heard around the world and did like
Broke
that
his skull.
crack. Yeah, he cracked his orbital bone, and he still went 5 rounds with the champ. Yeah, I'm gonna go Chito Vera on that one.
Has Cheeto only been knocked down once?
Yeah, you might be right. Maybe just knock down one
Yeah, we're
time.
going Cheeto. 1000%
See, I can keep up with the UFC, maybe not the NBA. But so before Franco hits you with a finishing question, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
At dr.nicholas Giliberti on Instagram, or you could follow the brand Warrior Garden on Instagram, or follow us here at The Movement Underground on Instagram.
Or you could just follow all three.
Yeah, all three.
It's free. It's crazy.
You know what they say? It's like it costs nothing to be nice, but it also costs nothing to be a hater. So like,
Wow, I never really thought
you know what I
about it
mean?
like that. Yeah.
Like, yeah, listen, it costs nothing to be nice. It also costs nothing for me to just tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what we're learning too? The haters get us more engagement. So you know what? You can hate on us if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know what? I have two more for you. Now that we're talking about the hate, I want to know, and this is no hate towards this specific person, but who is the most overrated fighter in the UFC right now?
Oh, man. This might block me from future job opportunities at the PI if ever presented. But the most overrated?
Overrated.
I'm not, this isn't recency bias, but I've been saying this for quite a while. I do think that Michael Chandler is a bit overrated, dude.
Come on.
And it's not recency bias of him just losing like his last, 2-3 fights. I just don't think he's that good. And to be ranked after consecutive losses back to back, I don't know.
Dana loves him.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, no, he is.
I've seen the videos. I've seen the clips. Dude seems like a great father. Seems like an all-around model American.
Yep.
But as a fighter, I just don't like the style. You know, is he a wrestler? Is he a striker? He just seems like, in my opinion, the jack of all trades, the master of none. And maybe this is me coming across as a casual, and maybe I'll get some hate in the comments on this one. But I really don't see it.
The only thing that he impresses me with is his athleticism. That's it.
He's a hard worker. He's a
physique
hard
is
worker.
insane.
Yeah.
I had him at the top, and this is kind of, as I was even saying this beforehand too, but more recently, Sean Strickland, man.
You think he's? Yeah, I could see that.
He's just, I don't know if it's overrated or he just comes super unprepared.
That's also fair. Up until the last 2 fights, I would have said Patty, because I was like, how's Patty getting all of this like attention? But then he showed he belongs there. Like, you know, he's showing that 2-stripe jiu-jitsu black belt. You know, his second-degree black belt rather, against Bobby King Green, and now against his striking against Michael Chandler. That was great. I mean, it was a great performance.
Man. Once Patty gets a hold of you, it's game over. He is like you don't realize how good he is on the ground.
No, you don't. You don't. He, like I said, and he got it. And maybe not quick to some people, but I think 12 years. I think he got like to the point of being a black belt and a second-degree black belt at that within 12 years. I think that's hard as fuck.
Shit. Sure is.
Yeah, maybe it was 8 years or something like that. I just remember Googling it, and I'm like, that just seemed like he started his jiu-jitsu journey like within the last like 10 years, and he's already a second-degree black belt. I don't know.
Weidman had a quick come up in jiu-jitsu too, didn't
The
he?
wrestling helps. The wrestling helps. You know, when you're a wrestler, and my biggest regret is ever like picking up a basketball and not wrestling. It was because my high school wrestling team like was notoriously the worst wrestling team in the entire state. Shout out the Leon M. Goldstein High School for the Sciences at Kingsborough Community College Dolphins. But like our wrestling team was like infamously bad. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna play basketball. Not like we were any better, but it was terrible. But the wrestling carries over so well into jiu-jitsu. It's like I've gone up against people that are no joke, half my weight, same belt class as me, nowhere near as strong as I am, but have a background in wrestling, just mauling me, throwing me around, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And then the coaches like pull me aside, like, hey, listen, you know, he was a all-American wrestler, just to let you know. I'm like, oh, okay, so now I don't have to cry myself into a bucket of Ben and Jerry's anymore.
That was like Demetrius Johnson the other day. He was rolling with someone who was three times his size, and he put him to work. It's actually kind of crazy to see.
It's so funny to be like, oh, you know, when Bradley Martin goes, oh, I'm 260. It's like, dude, I'm 260 and I get my ass kicked. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's just it's crazy because I saw a meme. And it was a really good one, and it really puts things into perspective. It's like, you ever watch like fighting on TV, whether it's the UFC or boxing, and you watch these guys and you're like, yo, these guys fucking suck, dude. They're terrible. These guys are training 5-6 days a week. You've never trained a day in your life.
Yep.
So, and it's not to be like, oh, don't talk shit. Like, yeah, we're going to heckle. We're going to be, we're going to be haters, whatever. That's just the nature of sports and New York sports at that. But when people, I saw another statistic that said on like social media, how true it is, I don't know. Men overestimate their ability to fight by like 462%.
I saw that too.
Yeah. So it's like, you see these guys like, oh, they suck. They train 6 days a week. If you think they suck, which is fine, and you think that you could do that, you probably can't.
And you know what? When you're training in a sport like jiu-jitsu or boxing or something like that, it actually makes you take a step back too. You don't get more aggressive. You don't say, oh yeah, I can kick your ass, your ass, your ass. When I was training and doing some grappling, it made me think twice. And I'm like, I think I'm good because I know this much. I don't know what he knows. That guy over at the bar might know that much more than me. And now I'm in that much trouble. So it kind of makes you understand where you stand in the world a little bit better.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And also, just to piggyback on top of that, you don't know what you're capable of either. Because you're training against, let's say you're training against killers and you're getting your ass kicked, or maybe you're kicking their ass, and you're like, oh, you know what, this guy at the bar, it's me versus you, that primal, like, aggressive mentality. And then you crack someone, their face hits the pavement, and now they're seizing on you. That's happened. I know people that's happened to. Now they're seizing on the pavement, and now you caught a case.
Yep.
And it's it's crazy. It's funny because like all of my street fights have always ended up we're on a basketball court. Like whether it's at the parks or anything like that. The moment I started learning how to fight, I keep kicking you, and it's a damn shame because your shoes are they're very beautiful.
Thank you. Franco hates them.
To say actually, it makes it seem like I underestimated him. That's not the case at all. I'm sorry. That was a very poor choice of words.
I fucking hate him.
No, they're
we
nice.
Gotta get him some Jordans.
Those are
man.
Sambas. Classic, right?
Yeah, these
or
are
Gazelles.
No, these are Sambas.
Yeah, see? Sambas. I like your shoes too. They're the threes. But as I was saying, me being a foolish young man, yeah, all of my street fights have been on a basketball court and when I was in Brooklyn. Like, and then the moment I stepped into a boxing gym was the moment that I was like, oh, okay.
Shit.
Yeah. Then the ego gets checked at the door, and it's like the more dangerous you become, the less dangerous you want to be.
Absolutely. The best way to win a fight is to avoid it when you're in the streets.
Yeah.
All Mario's fights been on a basketball court too. All right, I want to hit you with the last one. I want to know one person, dead or alive, that you can sit down to dinner with and ask any questions to. Who would it be?
Oh, you guys come with some really good questions. This is great. You guys, damn, this is me stalling.
You learn that in public speaking 101.
One person, dead or alive, that I would want to ask questions to or like learn from or anything like that?
Yeah, anything. You're sitting down at dinner, just like what we're doing here.
Forgive me if this is like vain or narcissistic. I would want to talk to my younger self. Is that a thing? Can I do that?
That's a fantastic answer. We've never gotten that before.
I would want to talk to my younger self as like a little kid at the most, like, because like when, growing up, like I don't know if you've seen like some of the other podcasts that I've been on or like, a little bit about my story. Like I had a rough childhood and rough upbringing. So like, and this isn't me, like I'm not a victim. I'm not like, pity party, like boo-hoo, please feel bad for me. Like that's not where we're going with this. But what I am saying is like, I would love to kind of, because it's very easy now in the position that I'm in to kind of oftentimes forget like how far I've come and how bad like some of those days were. And there's some days where I'll sit back and I'll like reflect a little bit. I'm like, yo, dude, like people with less means to be able to fuck their life up have done far worse. And like, you're here, like be blessed. Someone's, be grateful. Like someone's looking out for you. So I'd really like to kind of go back to like my younger self and maybe just, just be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Does that sound corny and lame? I don't know.
What's the first thing you'd say?
Man, what would be the first thing I would say to my younger self? I wouldn't ask. I'd be like, you're going to be good. Like, you're going to be okay. That's really the first thing I would say. I'd be like, you know, obviously, again, assuming that I wouldn't be like, oh, hey, it's me from the future. Like, you know, like assuming that all those introductions and those pleasantries would be like accounted for. Be like, oh, what the fuck? How'd you get here? Well, I was on the oven pod and they brought me back to 2006. Like, you know, like assuming all those formalities were taken care of, I would probably just be like, oh, listen, you know, I just want to let you know, like, you're going to be good. You know, everything that you think is like breaking down, like everything is actually falling into place. Like you'll be fine. Like all the doubts that you have, like all of like, you know, that the shit that you're going through, like trust me, it's gonna be worth it.
You touched on one of my favorite lines there. Things aren't falling apart; they're falling into place.
Yeah, it's true. They always are. It's always a bigger plan than ours. I would be remiss if I didn't. And this is me. This is who I am. You guys knew who you got when I was you know coming on the pod. Like I always give glory to God. Like that's really what it's all about. I give credit and give thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Like that's really what it boils down to. Faith. Without faith, it's nothing.
I hear you.
And that's where the gratitude comes into play.
Amen, brother. This was awesome.
Yeah, bro.
Love that.
Thank you
respect of
again.
this.
Thank you for having us, man.
Appreciate you guys.
The movement underground, baby. This is it. Take us home,
sir.
kid.
We're the Oven Podcast. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube, like, comment, share, spank that subscribe button. And audio listeners, follow us and leave a 5-star review. And don't forget, there's always an open seat for you at the Oven.
Yes, sir. We out.
Don't forget, we teamed up with Underdog Fantasy. We have a promo code OVEN. We're going to give you 50% cash back on your deposit, maximum $500. That's a free $250 in the bag for you if you do it the right way. It's free money.
Money in the bag.
And Dubby Energy. Same code OVEN, get you 10% off your first order. I think every order, actually, correct?
Every order.
Every order moving forward. 10% off Dubby Energy drinks. They're the clean energy. We love them. You're going to love them.
Keep it cooking in the oven. The oven.